What is up, Chasers? This is Houston from Chasin The Graph, and today we're going to be getting into episode 2, and there's a couple of things I want to go over in this one. The first one being that the Chasin The Graph Facebook page has close to 60 likes now. This YouTube channel has already got a few subscribers, and I want to thank you guys for the likes and the shares, and this is why I'm doing this. I don't care if it's one view or one share. I'm doing it to reach, the people who want to get into this or have already gotten into this and just, want to clarify some things, or they have some questions. This is why we're doing this. The second thing that I want to go over and what this video is going to be about is sending things through the mail, cards specifically, because if you watch my last video, there's not a whole lot of in-person signings that go on in here in North Carolina, so I rely heavily on sending things through to mail. So basically, sending a card through the mail, you're going to have two envelopes, a big one and a small one. And you're going to stick the small one inside of the big one. It's going to look something like this when it goes in there. And the big one is going to have the person you're sending to's address here, your return information here. And the small one is going to have your information here and, the return address of where you sent it here. So that way all they have to do is stick the card that you sent in this and let it go. And with that being said, you'll notice that these both have stamps. Whenever you send the card out to be mailed, on the return envelope, you always want to include paid postage, whether it be a stamp or whatever else, just to make sure that it does come back to you and that all that person has to do is sign the card, slip it in an envelope, and then they're done. And when you add return postage to anything, and I mean anything you send out, you're guaranteed, to get it back whether they signed it or not. And you have a far greater chance of that person signing it and sending it back. So again, just two envelopes, a small one and a big one. And then you're just going to stick it inside there. And then you're going to put your card in there. And what you're going to want to include when you send the card through the mail or anything, again, is a letter. It can be handwritten, it can be typed. I've seen videos from a couple of baseball players where if the letter's typed, they don't pay too much attention to it because it's not really sincere or authentic. So I usually take just an index card, with lines on it, and I'll address the player, handwrite it, of course, I always handwrite every note. And I'll, just put a couple of lines in there about some really cool stats that they had, if they were with a team, for their entire career, or if they went to a Pro Bowl, or if they're a Super Bowl champion or World Series champion, or if they won some type of acting award or something. I include that in there just to let that player know that, or that person know that I did some type of research, or I know who they are, and I'm not just asking for their autograph so I can turn around and sell it. And so I always try to include that information. And another thing I do is I keep it short. If it's an active player or something like that, they don't have time to read a whole page full of notes or, anything like that. So that's why I use the index card. I try to keep it short. And one of the last lines I do is always thank them for their time of, signing the card or reading the note or both. So that's just a little bit how I do it. And in another video, I'll get into actually sending a baseball or a mini helmet or something like that, because as you can tell, I've sent out baseballs and everything else. So that is sending cards through the mail. That's how I do it. You may do it differently. If you do, feel free to leave some comments on how you do things. It may be better. But this video is just kind of a tutorial on how to send those cards through the mail. And again, if you guys have any questions or anything, just drop it down there in the comments and we'll address it. All right, have a good day, Chasers.